Well, it looks like our relationship with Russia is going back to the old days. And by that, I mean not particularly great. Not that it was great, but yeah, it's not definitely going backwards. Just a day or so ago, Joe Biden pissed off Vladimir Putin for telling the truth. Basically, in an ABC interview on Wednesday, Joe Biden agreed that Vladimir Putin was a killer. And now the New York Times reports that Vlad, as I'm going to call him, reportedly wished President Biden good health. So, interesting turn of events. And now Russia is furious. The Kremlin just pulled their diplomats out of D.C., and Vladimir Putin wants to debate Joe Biden. So, today on Catching Up, I just want to talk about why I think this may be more illustrative of what's to come in foreign policy, not just with Russia, but kind of the Biden approach to foreign policy.
Мы действительно, как он сказал, мы с ним лично знакомы. И что бы я ему ответил? Я бы сказал ему: будьте здоровы. Я желаю ему здоровья. Говорю это без иронии, без шуток.
Hey everybody, Alex Kapitko here, and I hope you're doing all right. Welcome back to this weekend catching up segment. And for our listeners, you basically just saw Vladimir Putin wish Joe Biden well after Joe Biden implied that Vladimir Putin is a killer. To be honest, I just want to get this off my chest now. I don't really ever want Vladimir Putin wishing me well or wishing me good health. It implies something else. Like, I think it was Vlad who wished Alexei Navalny good health, who, he got poisoned by a radioactive gas, or a nerve agent, excuse me, not gas, but you get the point. I don't think you want Putin wishing you well. It implies other things.
The Kremlin and Vladimir Putin hitting back at President Biden for calling him a killer.
So you know Vladimir Putin, you think he's a killer?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Responding today in Moscow, Putin said,
Кто как обзывается, тот так и называется.
it takes one to know one. Calling
So let's just do a quick recap here. I think it's important to note that Biden has never been a big fan of Russia. Biden of the Obama-Biden team was the more hawkish foreign policy guy. Obama kind of took a hands-off approach a lot of the time. I think that's why Crimea maybe happened the way it did. But Biden is the more hawkish guy, and I think we're starting to see that here. And I don't think Biden and Putin have ever really had a good relationship. Obama definitely didn't. And I've heard foreign policy experts think that was because there is racism in Russia, and Putin might not be the most racially sensitive guy, and, Obama being African American and all that jazz. But yeah, Biden has also been quite critical, and I've always thought that Putin just wants respect, and Obama and Biden never showed him that, and rightfully so. But Trump did give them somewhat quasi-respect. He kind of let Putin do his own thing and try to grow back that kind of Soviet influence in the East. And so Putin is kind of threatened by the Obama-Biden types, But anyways, I think some people hoped that Biden could maybe help improve relations with Russia. Not that they've been like bad on paper, but obviously the Russian hacking, the giant hack over the summer, we have, Russian election interference. But on Wednesday on ABC, I think that all went out the door. In the interview, Biden was asked whether he thought Putin was a killer. And Biden responded, I do. And he further pledged that Mr. Putin is going to pay. And I think he was mentioning Russian interference because last week there was a detailed intelligence report that said it happened in 2020 again. And rightfully so, Biden should be speaking out. Trump couldn't do it. I remember in Helsinki, during the Russia Mueller investigation, Trump was kind of like, we all do it. Putin's a good guy. I take his word. Biden's not going to do that, and I like that. Okay, so I don't actually think that it's just the fact that Biden called out Putin on national TV, which is the reason why Russia's so angry right now. I think it's because over the last month, Putin's Russia has kind of been in the hot seat. The U.S. government and a lot of Western allies have been kind of continuously calling them out for acting in bad faith. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which basically is a pipeline delivering oil to Germany, was criticized by the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken last week. He basically said this is a bad deal and it's going to jeopardize Europe's energy security, which I agree with, but it's not a good look if you're the Russian government trying to make money and export oil to Europe. Also, there was that scathing report about 2020 election interference, again, and also there's the sanctions, I guess, on Russia for the Alexei Navalny imprisonment, assassination attempt, coup attempt, all that fun. But yeah, it has not been a good 2021 for the relationship between Russia and the United States. So I think when Biden called out Putin on national TV, basically, it was kind of just the icing on the cake here. I saw a quote from a guy named Konstantin Kosachev. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he's the head of foreign affairs in Russia's upper house of parliament. And he said in a Facebook post, in quotes here, "This is a watershed moment. Any expectations for the new U.S. administration's new policy towards Russia has been written off by this boorish statement." Okay, so Biden calls Putin a killer. Russian government's all mad. I think it's more than just that. I think they're mad for a long time. I do think this is just a show, though, at the same time, because Putin's popularity domestically is waning, and Russians trust him more on foreign policy. There's that nationalism of kind of bringing back the Soviet-era power. And so, when you're not doing well at home, I think you start calling out your biggest adversary, which is us, the United States. But now, I think that there's something more important to take away from this, because, on social media, I've just seen people are like, oh my God, like, Putin wants to challenge Biden to a debate or a wrestling match or whatever that could be. But to me, this is actually good for Biden because, Obama was always hesitant, I think, to kind of call out some of our adversaries, including like what happened in Syria when the red line was crossed back in, I think it was 2013. Crimea, Obama was kind of reluctant to actually send in troops or respond. And it seems like, no, Biden is going to put his foot down. He's already going hard towards China. He's calling out Putin. This is what needs to be done. And I also think that this spat may be very telling about what the next 4 years may look like in general. I think one of the most glaring differences between the Trump administration and the Biden administration will be in foreign policy. Domestic stuff changes, but always not that dramatically. Foreign policy can. And basically, Trump appeased a lot of autocrats, or at least let them do their thing. And now Biden wants to put the hammer down. He's like, this isn't right, And I bet this is going to leave some unhappy autocrats because they've been having fun for the last 4 years. I'm not saying Trump supports all these autocrats, but I think he's a big talker, but his tail goes between his legs when he deals with them. And Biden's always been kind of just a gaffe-prone fighter. It's interesting. I feel like this is like if a mom went on vacation and leaves the kids home with the dad, and the dad lets the kids eat candy for the whole 2 weeks while he's gone. Then the mom comes back and is like, okay, this isn't right. We're not doing candy. And the kids aren't going to be thrilled. They're coming off that sugar high, and they're like, wait, Dad just let us have candy for 2 weeks. Like, what? But I think that's kind of what's happening here. And it's good to see that Biden's putting the foot down, and his administration is. I'm not saying let's be all hawkish, but it is good to see. And, Russia's still a bad actor. I found it weird when William Barr and other Trump intelligence guys said that the biggest threat to election security was China. China's a bad actor. But I don't know if China acts out like Russia does, and I don't know if there's any evidence that China is a more direct threat for the fabric of our democracy. So I think that's a big discussion that does need to be had. And I think I'm just going to leave it there for this moment, but I think we're going to probably see somewhat of an escalation in tensions with Russia and China. China's a whole other thing, so I'm going to not touch on that right now. But it's clear that Biden is taking the candy away from the kids. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.